adding one note to your chords, your scales and your diatonic runs, you get amazing bebop lines. Check out the whole video and you'll understand and be able to apply this great chromatic approach note into your playing, sounding like bebop. This was an example on how the chromatic bebop sound was played. I'll focus on one specific note, the chromatic approach note, and how you can apply this to your playing and train the skills you need. Hi there, I'm Søren Ballegaard. Welcome to Søren Ballegaard's saxophone lessons. I would like to begin with arpeggios because I'm a very much learn your basics and then expand kind of guy. On this G major 7 arpeggio, I have added a chromatic approach note in front of it. The sound of this F sharp is immediately the sound that leads you towards the G. This is because the F sharp is the leading tone in the key of G. The F sharp really wants to go to that G chord. But mostly because the F sharp is a half step away from the G. So by adding a half step below and before your target note, you get this chromatic approach note, which is amazing leading effect. We can add this principle to all the notes of the G major 7 arpeggio. Extending the G major to a G major 9. Looking at the chord from the third, making this a B minor 7 over the G major 9. We can add the chromatic half step before the B, but we do not have to stick to the key as we did with the F sharp in the G major. It does not belong in the key of G major. The only rule is that our chromatic approach note for now is below and before our target note. Here's some examples on arpeggios and approach note. I want to get right into how you can use this and give you examples on this. If you happen to play a solo over a G major chord, you can use the chromatic approach note on the G major, but you can also use it on the B minor chord. Looking at this G major, we can apply the chromatic approach note to almost all the chord notes, what I mentioned earlier. Here's how. The chromatic approach note to the 5th, C sharp to D. Because I still want the functionality of the G, I'm going down the chord, getting that G major triad. I get the G major sound because I'm going down, I'm getting most of the G major 7 chord. Add this immediately to your playing, making licks. And immediately I have a jazz lick, starting with the chromatic approach note before the D, the C sharp. C sharp running down that G major chord. Adding a chromatic approach note before that G coming now. Running up that G major triad. And ending on the major 7 and the 6. You need to get this into your playing right away. I'll add some exercises at the end of this video. But also remember to check the description where I've left some links to videos I've made and also a lot of manuals on how to play bebop, how to add these notes. Check the description below. We can add a chromatic approach note to the 7th of the G major chord. The F. With this pattern we get into quite a pickle. I do not so much like the sound when we're ending right on that root of that chord. And there's a timing thing too. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're ending on the root on the heavy beat of the bar. It just sounds so much
Hasta la vista.
like the end of a tune. Tension and release. Whereas I think of jazz more like tension, release, going into tension again. If I should make a great line using that chromatic approach note going down I would do it like this. Starting out on that F leading towards the F sharp, as in the line before. Again, going down that B minor triad. Adding the A on the G major, the 9th, or the 7th of that B minor 7 chord. Then I'm adding an F sharp before an arpeggio up the G. I'm then moving up that little scale, G-A. But then I add the A sharp right on beat 1, right on the heavy beat of the bar. A sharp, boom. The A sharp is the leading tone towards the B of the B minor 7 triad, which I'm going to play. Ending up on that G major 9. That was a huge step there. What happened? We added a bit of scale, but we also added 3 chromatic approach notes in this sentence, in this great bebop lick line. And we were playing completely wrong notes on the heavy beats of the bar. Which brings us to harmonic rhythm. I'm not going to go deeply into harmonic rhythm, but here's a bit. Harmonic rhythm. Basically, we want our harmonic rhythm to be very clear. We want the harmonics to come out when we are playing. This means we like the important notes, the chord notes, to be on the heavy beats of the bar. But we were just talking about tension and release. Bebop, I think, is very much about moving away from the classic harmonic rhythm on the heavy beats of the bar. So getting all these heavy notes on the 1 and the 3 gives a very home feeling. So all the nice notes, getting those on the heavy beats of the bar, it gives a homey feeling. And we get no tension. And without the one or the other tension or release, well, how fun is music then? Adding chromatic approach notes on the heavy beats of the bar gives us this tension release feel. This is really one of the remarkable things about bebop. The chromatic approach notes in the examples I just played is almost always on the heavy beat of the bar. Of course you can get it all over the place, but in those examples I played it on the heavy beat of the bar, and it really gets this great bebop effect. The F sharp is in the scale, so it's a diatonic note, whereas the other chromatic approach notes are not in the scale, which gives even more tension. Enough about harmonic rhythm.
Hasta la vista.
Bebop exercises. When looking at the scale, I first want to divide it into chords. All the chord notes, in all the chords, you can add a chromatic approach note. And for all the chords in the scale, you can play the chords from the third. This means that when you play the chromatic approach note to any of those chords, the root automatically gets a third of another chord. This nifty little bebop trick gives you 1 + 1 free, because you use the same pattern on more chords. Another great way to use the chromatic approach notes are on triads. From the root going up. It sounds simple, and it is simple. This pattern gives you a great harmonic rhythm fitting exactly 2 beats. Again you have 1 + 1 free. Double up on the application. You can play this on 2 chords. The pattern on the B minor triad is fitting the G major as well. I think the chromatic approach note is the music equivalent to the real life, the gift that keeps on giving.
It's got some lovely looking berries on it this time of year. A lovely pink colour.
Approaching the triads from the 5th, of course, with a chromatic approach note. Again, remember when you're practicing these patterns, you get 2 for the price of 1. Twice as much material to fit those chords to the 3rd below or the 3rd above. There are still so many ways to use the chromatic approach notes. We didn't even talk about scales. We didn't talk about pentatonic scales. We didn't talk about alternate chords. This is for a future video. Crazy amazing chromatic approach note can be utilized in so many ways. I really recommend you to check the links in the description of this video where you get the bebop manuals I have made, where you get lots and lots and lots of examples and bebop lines on how to play this. So check the description below. What did you take on chromatic approach notes? How do you practice this? If you have any questions, please leave a message or leave a comment in the comment section below. I would love to hear your view on this. If you want to hear more about music, saxophone, my life, my music, let me know by liking this video, sharing this video, giving a comment, and you can even subscribe to my channel. Your support, likes, shares, everything is deeply appreciated. Let me know if there's anything. Then there's to say, play music and have fun.